That's the truth.
She was what you call a Karen. She was an
Karen.
absolute Karen. She was trying to get in
Like-
our business, pretending that
beacon of
smoking
nature.
weed outside of her building was somehow going to persecute her in her apartment. It's quite bizarre. But, some people have nothing better going on in their lives, and they got to take the drama where they can find it. But while I have you on, I'd like to just pick your brain a bit about some of these figures, right? These people that you've had the opportunity to brush shoulders with or talk to who are of so much significance. So, can you tell us anything about your dealings with Benjamin Netanyahu? Either what you talked about, what you worked on, or just what his personality was like. Anything at all that you could give
Sure,
us.
I can tell you my connection with Benjamin Netanyahu, which goes back to 1976, June of 1976, when there was the Entebbe hijacking and the Jewish rescue mission of the Entebbe hostages. And I was in Greece, and I watched the airplane take off. We were on our way to Israel. We had been touring, my family and I, through Europe on our way to live in Israel. And the hijacking took place right under our nose, take off. And Benjamin Netanyahu's brother, Yonatan, was killed. He was the casualty in terms of the rescue mission. And when I was in Israel, I think it was the King David Hotel in Jerusalem, he and I met years later. I was 10 years old at the time when this took place. But all of a sudden, this is how God has a plan, it seems, at least in my life. It seems that I meet the right connections and I meet the right people. The door opened, and there was Benjamin Netanyahu with his security detail, and they allowed me to step in, which was unusual, but they allowed me to step in, and I stepped into the elevator, and I started talking with him, and I told him my connection from years ago, and we found a lounge, and we talked for about 3 hours. And we talked about he trained, I think it was Boston. I can't recall. But
went to MIT.
Sorry?
He went to MIT.
MIT. Yes. Whose voice was that just chimed in?
Oh, sorry. My name is the NSA watches me jack off.
Well, anyways, he and I talked about Israel and what to do with it. And the interesting part in Winnipeg was I think I told you, Daniel, when I was featured in Manitoba Business Magazine in May of 1990, when I was 24 years old as an up-and-coming Izzy Asper said, "Come meet with me," and the billionaire summoned me to meet with him and scared the shit out of me, to be honest, when I was that young, because I was just getting started. I was building condominiums. I was doing my entrepreneurial things, and I wanted to fix the world then. But he opened the door with me with contacts and things, and anyways, that's kind of the story with Benjamin Netanyahu.
Thank you. That's exactly sort of what I want to get into today. So, along the same lines, you also mentioned having some history of interaction with the Trump family, not just Donald Trump, but other members. So can you tell us about how that connection came about and what the nature of your interactions with the Trump family were?
Yeah, the basic was a fellow named Brian Boudreau, who is the vice president of development for Trump Organization in Nevada, approached David Simkin, who's my CEO. He works for me, running the Noble Group of Companies Worldwide Holdings, our private companies, 3,364 operating companies he runs for me, and also the Noble Foundation Worldwide. And just to let you know, I'm taking over the Noble Foundation Worldwide starting January 1st, full time, so that I can make sure my attention is on detail to make sure that the foundation is unveiling its plans properly and doing everything exactly properly. And so I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, that's okay. So you said that you're going to be taking over as CEO.
Oh, right. So David Simkin was given a card from Brian Boudreau, and the Trump organization normally wants to have developers develop the buildings, and we're one of the top global developers in terms of real estate. And I don't mean to be arrogant about it. We're just a very big real estate development company, which is how I started my company. And Trump wants developers to build the building, and then he puts his name on the building and markets the building. And it was not to my taste to do that because it was not necessarily noble. The Trump way of doing things is not, everything is about money and rich and flaunting things, and that's not it's not the Jewish way. It's not my way to do things like that. And but in any event, we met with Trump because I wanted to explore opportunities, as I always do, and I always try to make connections with people that seem to be up and coming, and he seemed to be up and coming at the time. And Donald, we met with Donald and Donald Jr. and Eric and Ivanka and Melania and Jared Kushner, who helped me with the UAE, United Arab Emirates peace accord, and we met. I think it was I told you last time it was the 90th floor. That's not correct. It was around the 60th floor, if I'm not mistaken, of Trump Tower, and he wanted to show me his beautiful gold trinkets and all of his things that he had done. So I'm not trying to disparage. Like, people think that Donald Trump, there are people who worship him. That's idolatry. Worshipping an idol like that is idolatry. The Kardashians, all these people that don't necessarily, although Kim Kardashian is working on helping people get out of jail who have been imprisoned. The values of people, I can't even watch TV anymore. It's so, there's such garbage on TV. It bothers me. Anyways, I went on a rant.